Welcome back to DETV's Community Corner. Sitting here with me now is Executive Director Leslie Shaffer from the Delaware Contemporary. Hello, Leslie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me back.
Thanks for coming. You are one of DETV's favorites.
Thank you.
We're creatives here, and you are creatives there.
Absolutely.
So for the people that don't know, what is the Delaware Contemporary?
Thank you for asking. The Delaware Contemporary is a non-collecting museum. We are the only museum in Delaware that focuses just on contemporary art, so artists that are living, working today.
Okay.
The organization started about 40 years ago, so we're not a new organization in town. It started with local artists and art patrons who were really interested in finding a place for art to be shown. 20 years fast forward, they built a building, or they renovated an old train repair station on the Wilmington Riverfront.
That's what that is? Get out.
That's where they bring in the trains and turn them around and work on them in that spot. So it's, the big corrugated iron I-beams inside.
Yeah,
and
that explains it. Gotcha. Okay.
So big old space. That was 2000. So we've been there more than 20 years. Inside, they gave us there's 7 generous galleries in there, so we have a lot of flexibility to do a big show or to do 7 smaller exhibitions.
Okay.
We have a black box theater, so we can do lectures and panel discussions. Currently, we're also partnering with City Theater Company, and they're performing in our space a couple times a year now, which is wonderful, a residency for 3 years. We have then 26 studio spaces.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there are studio spaces on the first level and on the second level of the building where artists from around the region rent a space and they work in there and produce new bodies of work, which is then shown later in the year in the Studio Art Gallery.
Wow.
So we have a lot going on.
I see.
Yeah, our exhibitions, we do about 30 every year.
Okay.
And they are shaped into seasons. So we have a winter season, which we're in now, and then there's a summer, and there is a fall.
Right.
And within each of those, we try to make connections for the audience to think about issues that all of us can kind of get around.
Right.
In different ways. So one artist may approach it through painting, one artist may approach it through photography, but we find it our job to get people there and have conversations about whatever it might be.
Right.
And so that's been really fun for the last year. It's a new initiative we took on during the pandemic. I know a lot of organizations in Wilmington and Delaware thought about what things they might hold on to, what things they might change as they move forward through this pandemic.
Right.
And that was something that came out as a very positive initiative. It allows us to have bigger and better First Fridays where we have different kinds of organizations coming in, anywhere from jazz performances to spoken word. The Wilmington Ballet has done a performance there. We've had jazz musicians. It's been really quite wonderful to have longer exhibition programs so that we can talk about it for a few months.
I know. And the programs that you have, the exhibits that you have are amazing. What are your favorites thus far?
So, when we came out of the pandemic, we were working with a curator in residence. We often bring on other curators to give us a little different perspective, to broaden, our internal voices. And she had been working with these female and non-binary artists who are representing the Mid-Atlantic region.
Okay.
And this exhibition was called Fields and Formations. It's actually traveled now. It's at the American University, the Katzen Art Center in DC.
Wow.
So what was wonderful about this show is large scale, very interesting, very unique, and very contemporary approaches to abstraction. But what it felt like when you walked in was a place for us to all reflect and kind of regroup.
Right.
There was so much space and color and really interesting connections between the way that the artist made the work, and just the space around it, that I felt it was the first time in quite a while that there was some just downtime, and that ability to reflect on, okay, we're ready, we've done this, and we're ready to kind of move forward.
Right.
And so I think that's what contemporary art can do. And I thought that this was in the fall. It's now, I think, through April in in DC. And it really grounded us for this next series that we're currently in, which is called Narrative.
Okay.
You know, and you tell stories all day long, right?
Yeah.
And you listen to other people tell stories. And these are 7 groups of artists who are telling stories in different ways. Is it a family story? Is it something that has nostalgia? You know, you smell a smell, you hear a sound, you listen to a song, it brings you back to a time or a place. One of our key exhibitions this season is all about that. It's about a found photograph from a party. It's about, you know, a broken object. It's about a postcard, or it's about the smell of cloves, or whatever it might be, right? Or the sound of a music. And so this season in particular is having an opportunity to really think about how we put stories together. Is it through memory? Is it through an intentional process?
Right.
Or is it through a new experience, right? So that's what we have on view now. We have that show that's about nostalgia. We have an artist who's very familiar to the Wilmington area. She and her husband moved here, I think, 1980s.
Right.
And so they have come from the West area, but have called Wilmington their home for many, many years. And she's looking outside of just her home at the Brandywine River, at Longwood Gardens, at some of those familiar spots, and then rephrasing them through this kind of large-scale abstract painting. How do we see them now? What are the colors that your eyes might not see, but your brain is processing?
Right.
And so kind of taking us in that direction.
Nice. Love it. You, outside of the exhibits and the programs, you have a fundraiser coming up.
Yes.
All right. Can you talk a little bit about that and see if we could get some money flowing your way?
We need money. So we haven't done a fundraiser. I was thinking about this. The last fundraiser we did was 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, every year the organization, we try to earn income from other sources. Sometimes,
Understood.
Grants and lots of very generous patrons, lots of generous foundations, but we often hold a party of some kind to raise a little bit of extra operating. And this is the first time in 3 years. And it's taking on the shape of a fun kind of cocktail hour, but very casual, low price tickets, music, of course. There's a saxophone with a DJ, so it's this kind of very interesting combination. There are art demonstrations. So in the theme of narrative, we have an artist creating bookbinding and putting together books. We have another artist who will be creating custom caricatures, telling your story. We have another artist who is creating storyboards as the evening progresses, so sort of documenting live the story. And then we also have our guests. I had mentioned earlier, the City Theater Company is going to do a special performance in the galleries.
Nice.
So some kind of, I can't tell you what it is, you'll have to come to see it, mystery kind of event that will happen concurrent with our event. Of course, there's wonderful food. Jamestown Catering is providing all of these hors d'oeuvres and appetizers that will be served along with obviously cocktails and fun things like that.
Right.
I wanted to mention that we have a kids' art party, so don't shy away if you have children and can't afford the babysitter.
Bring them with you. Bring them with you.
Bring them with you. They will have their own party in one of our studios.
Nice. Now, what day is the fundraiser?
The fundraiser is Saturday, April 9th.
Okay.
So it's coming up in a few weeks, and we are offering it from 6 to 9 p.m. to drop in. You don't need to be there at 6. You don't need to stay till 9. Just come, have fun, lots of things, lots of ways for you to spend money, lots of things to bid on, lots of things to take away.
Awesome. Real quick, I want to ask you this because a lot of funders are watching this program. What social impact does the Contemporary make on the state of Delaware?
So I'm glad you asked that question. We had this conversation yesterday with a number of other nonprofits. The arts, I think I began this, are very necessary in just getting us through the day, right? They are this place where we stop and reflect. They are the place that we launch a dialogue about what we all need to do together, about where we come together with common concerns and how we're all here because we choose to be here, right? And support each other. And that's really essential for contemporary art. We also do something special, I think, that other maybe different museums don't do, and that's to try to provide an opportunity for someone to move forward in the direction they want to move forward. So maybe they've never had an exhibition, or maybe this is their 10th. Whatever it is, or whatever they might want to do, we are trying to help them accomplish success and growth. And by doing so, that feeds our economy, it feeds their economy, and
it's a win-win.
It's a win-win, and we very much enjoy that process of providing these opportunities for people.
If you could describe the Contemporary in one word, what would you say?
Dynamic.
Leslie, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity.
No, I appreciate it because, you think but a lot of people, you really don't know what a certain organization does. And that's why we developed this show, to make sure that all viewing audience all over, white, black, Hispanic, brown, purple, green, whatever, they get to know about the great stuff that's right under their nose, and the great organizations that they can, throughout the week or whenever, just drop by and see some amazing talent.
It's free.
Boom, there you go.
There you go.
It's free.
It's free.
Free 99. Nothing wrong with free 99. Nope. All right.
Thank you.
You promise to keep us updated with whatever's going on so we can tell the public?
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Leslie.
All right.
There you have it. Stay tuned for the next nonprofit.